Hiyo de Gaio. This is a conversation about kind words. I used to draw all the time, nonstop. But I quit when when I'm maybe in the middle of my sixth grade year. Now, because of some words. Now, these words weren't necessarily nasty or ill intentioned. It's just the tone of them. And as a kid, you know, you never know how your kids, when you say something to your kids, you never know how they're going to take it sometimes. And this was one of those instances. So my mother was in art school. She has a bachelor's in art education, I believe, and so there was art around all the time. And so she would have these sketchbooks, and she would, her life art books, and so she'd take all the booby pictures out, and I would fill in the extra ones. And a lot of times, they were scribbled up and beat up and all that stuff from just doing her school stuff. But so I filled them all up. Whatever she had left over, I'd fill them up until one day she came home with an art book, and it just was nothing very fancy at all, but just I filled it up right away, and it was the first thing I'd ever drawn on that didn't have lines on it. And of course, as a young man, it was all spaceships and all that stuff. I think I might have been really into Star Wars. As a young man, the biggest things were playing backyard football, well, and baseball in the summer. Baseball is my favorite. Um, Video games and drawing. So it was a huge thing, but I filled this thing up right away, and then to protect the guilty, I said, "Hey, mom, this is great. When can I get another one of these?" And then somebody else said, "Oh, well, why don't you fill up the other side first before we get another one?" And then the way it was said and all that stuff, I stopped drawing. A little bit of that as well was I was going into maybe junior high and then high school, and we had an art teacher in our school who was notoriously grumpy. But looking at it now, I don't fault the guy. He was a Vietnam vet, and he was in it. I mean, really, really in it. In the big, I think the big battle in Da Nang, or the during one of the Tet, he was in Tet in the cities in the middle of all that stuff. So he was in it. And so, looking back as an adult, seeing that, I understand that. But as a young man, afraid of confrontation, a little guy, it's like, oh, I didn't want to get into this, and I didn't think I was good enough, kind of a thing as well. And so I stopped. And then through some really cool encouragement through friends, when I was working at the group home, when I was doing my master's degree, I was challenged to start creating things. So I just bought this journal and filled it up. I mean, the thing's kind of a mess. And so I started getting into comics too, because I said to myself, I grew up in the middle of nowhere where there were no comics. And so I'm going to get into a comic book store. And the comic book store, Chimps Comics, Winona Lake, Indiana, an amazing shop. Amazing owner, the whole bit. Now, he starts steering me towards the stuff that I like. I like trench coats and fedoras and scarves. And so I do this. And I remember I just looked at the one thing. I opened up a book and grabbed a couple Sharpies out of the office and a pen, and I did that. And I remember one of the group home kids just looking at it, like, that's cool. Wow. Just like he was amazed that I did it. And it was kind of a cool thing that I sketched out. And so at this point, you can kind of go both one of two ways. You could be angry at, I could be angry at, that I stopped drawing and how words were said to me and how I took those as a kid. Or you look at it glass half full and say, well, um, for the lack of hours and all that stuff that makes you a good artist, I am taking my brain and using the tools that I got, and it's made my own style. And so I really like my style. I like how I draw. I like how rough it is and gritty it is. And I might not have that if I hadn't, yes, boy, from however old you are when you're in sixth grade, 12 till 29. I mean, if I'd have never stopped drawing during that time, man. But I, I'm not going to be sad for what I missed because I have to use my brain power to be more clever in how I lay things out because of my lack of talent. And really, is that a lack of talent if you know how to use your brain? No, maybe. But again, a glass half full thing to a an amazing situation. And also, there's a quote I heard that every child thinks they're an artist until somebody says they're not good enough, or tells them that they can't do it, or whatever. I can't remember exactly the quote, but that's the idea. And so, that's a little bit of it. It's like I think some of my videos are about not giving up or finding common ground that you with people you disagree with. Well, this is definitely the not giving up, but also and glass half full in there too. But just use what you got and play the hand you're dealt to the best of your ability. And also, careful what you say to your kids. Be a little bit more intentional. And I know it was just probably just a throwaway thing that was said. I mean, I'm not sore for it, but yeah, all those things mixed together, and also the thing on the left. This is the low res high content deal where I don't. I intentionally leave everything a little bit fuzzy because you're supposed to be listening and not looking as much. But the thing on the left is the shadow drawn by Bill Sienkiewicz, and that's a pretty amazing drawing. I like my version too, but Bill Sienkiewicz, pretty amazing artist. Anyway, until next time, glass half full, play the hand you're dealt with a good attitude, and careful what you say to your kids. Until next time, boop.